Have you ever wondered what it would be like to build a $1 million business? Well, in the book 12 Months to a Million, Ryan D. Moran explains a step-by-step process on how to start and develop a 7-figure business in 12 months or less. So watch this video to the end and let me know what you think about this $1 million business plan. Ryan says that the goal is to have 3 to 5 products selling for $30 per unit, each selling 25 to 30 units per day. If you can do that, you have a $1 million business. And we get started with step number 1. Choose your customer. Most people, when they want to start a new business, often ask themselves, what products should I sell? But this isn't the right question to ask at the beginning. Imagine yourself as a tailor. It is impossible to make a nice fitted suit for a client if you don't know your client's size and measurements. A tailor carefully measures their client's dimensions in order to make a suit that perfectly fits their client. In the same way, we must understand our client in order for us to make the perfect product that specifically fits them. And the more specific we get, the better. You want to pick a very specific person and solve a very specific need. This gives you a much higher chance of building a strong community of customers and gives you a competitive advantage over other businesses who might have similar products. Let's take coffee for example. Now these examples are real companies. We have one company that focuses on high-end coffee drinkers. Those who want to know where the coffee beans come from, where they were roasted, the type of roast, and how fresh the coffee beans are. Then we have a second company, and again this is a real company, and they only sell coffee to conservative gun owners. The advertisement of this company doesn't talk about flavors, suppliers, or methods of coffee brewing. They just show themselves shooting their guns and invite other gun owners to drink their coffee. Now both of these companies are killing it. They sell the same product but to a very different and specific audience, and they create no competition to each other. Step number 2. Develop your first product. Now that we know who we are selling to, we can develop our product that fits with their specific needs. Now Ryan recommends using physical products as the best way to enter a new industry. And as you develop your first product, you can follow this 3-step process. First, you need to research the product. Since you already have your ideal customer, it's time to see what they're saying. By engaging with your ideal customer, you'll learn exactly what they're looking for and what their pain points are with similar products. This way, you can create a product that solves these specific problems. Second, you want to find who can make it. Something that many people don't realize is that many of the biggest brands in the world don't actually create their own products. They are created by companies called contract manufacturers. You need someone who can create exactly what you're looking for a good price, and has great communication. And third, you need to refine it. Ryan says that the first iteration of your product doesn't have to be perfect. You can modify as you go, but you should have a good idea of what your customer is looking for and do your best to give it to them. Then use the feedback to continue refining and making your product better. This first product will become your gateway product. Because remember, we need to develop 3 to 5 products that will serve the same customer. At this stage, it would be a great idea to brainstorm on what these other products will be. We don't have to make them just yet, but we want to have a good idea of what can complement our first product. A great example of how this can be done is the company Bulletproof Coffee. Dave Asprey was a humble vlogger that wrote about productivity and health optimization. He recommended adding fats and oils to one's morning coffee. When Dave launched this company, he had more than one product in mind than just coffee, but he launched this Bulletproof Coffee as his gateway product. Second, he launched coconut oil to add to the coffee. Then it was lactose-free ghee, which is essentially clarified butter. Then it was protein bars, then whey protein, then upgraded MCT oil. Bulletproof Coffee is not just a coffee company, but a biohacking company worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This coffee isn't just more expensive, but it comes with many pricey add-ons because it was targeted not just to coffee drinkers, but those looking to improve performance. Their customers are willing to pay more for their products because they were made specifically for them. Step number 3. Funding your business. Every business needs money to function. So knowing how the business will be funded, it's an important part of your plan. There are 4 ways of funding your business, each with benefits and disadvantages. Number 1. Self-funded. This one is pretty straightforward. This means using your own money to start the business and purchase your first batch of inventory, or even pre-selling inventory and using money from the pre-sale to fund future inventory. The benefit of being self-funded is that you don't have to give a piece of your company to investors, so you remain the sole owner of the business. The difficulty about being self-funded is that any major mistakes can take the company out of business. Since the company doesn't have much money, there is not very much space for mistakes. One of the most common mistakes self-funded entrepreneurs face is not managing inventory properly. Many entrepreneurs worry that they won't be able to sell their product, but the real challenge for businesses is quite the opposite. The real challenge is keeping inventory. If this is the case, Ryan recommends using your price point to manipulate supply and demand. So if inventory is selling faster than you can get it, this means that demand for your product is higher than your current business model can handle. So by raising prices, you lower demand and slow down the speed at which your sales are happening, giving you a chance to get new inventory before running out. And since your price point is higher, you make more money per unit, which can allow you to control supply and demand without sacrificing cash flow. Number 2. Investor funded. This means taking money from investors in exchange for a piece of your company. The benefit of raising money for your business is that this extra capital allows you to have more control of inventory and focus on building a core community of customers and potential customers first, and then optimize for profits later. The disadvantage of this method is that you will have to give up a piece of your company and some decision power to investors. Number 3. Crowdfunding. This means to raise money from the public to help launch your product or service. The benefit of this method is that you could raise money without the need to give up equity. And by raising money from the public, you already have a group of potential customers who are invested in the success of your company. The disadvantage of crowdfunding is that in order to do it successfully, you must have an effective marketing campaign in order to create awareness for your product, which can be very labor-intensive and in many cases, expensive. Number 4. Debt. Debt can be a useful tool, but a risky one. Ryan recommends never taking on debt for unproven concepts. If you are starting a new business, it is not a good idea to use debt, even if you have a great product. If you are not in full control of your sales process yet, using debt can amplify the cost of any mistakes. But on the other hand, debt can be a great tool, especially to prevent running out of inventory if you're selling too fast. Many businesses use debt strategically when they can reliably predict positive ROI. For example, if you are going to use the money to buy a $10 product that will sell for $50 and you know you have consistent and reliable sales, then a $10,000 loan can yield a $50,000 revenue stream for the business. But again, debt should only be used when we can accurately and reliably predict positive ROI after taking into account the cost of the debt. Debt should not be used when there's uncertainty. Step number 4. Stack the deck. Now that you know who your customer will be, what you will be selling, and how you will fund your business, it's almost time to launch your product. And as you get ready to launch your first product, it is important to use every advantage you can to make this launch successful. Before you make a sale, or even have a product for that matter, you should begin gathering a community of ideal customers in a place where you can communicate and engage with them. And in today's world, we have many tools to easily gather a community online. Whether you use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, or any other platform, the goal is to run ads and content that appeals to this very specific audience. For example, if you will be selling coffee to high-end drinkers, you can create content educating on the different types of coffee and different brewing methods. You can address some of the issues customers have in your space and how you would solve it, as well as giving updates on how your own product is going. And as the day of your launch gets closer, you can start identifying those members of your audience who are ready to buy your product and create a special list of only the most interested customers. And the book gives us a very good example on how to do this. You can make a post and say, "Hey guys, we're very excited to launch this product, but in this first round, we only have 500 of them. So if you want to get one, leave a comment below and we'll put you on a special launch list so you get early access to the product ahead of everyone else." This will help you identify who's ready to buy and make it easier to contact them when you launch your product. Step number 5. Launching your first product. At this point, you should have a good idea where you will host your product, where you will have your inventory, and how you're going to ship it to your customers. Ryan recommends using the easiest and most efficient way to get started. In many cases, Amazon can be a great first step since hosting, storage, and shipping are already taken care of. As you launch your first product, every single sale matters, not just for the revenue, but to establish a great customer experience. From day one, your goal is to turn customers into raving fans. This means going above and beyond for every customer, every review, and every comment. At this stage of the process, everything can also be a resource. A tweet from the right person can bring 10 additional customers. A great video review can be turned into an ad. A podcast mention can bring thousands of new superfans to your brand. Now, up to this point, we've been in the decision-making part of the business. Now it's time for the real work. Step number 6. Growing to 25 sales a day. After the launch, inevitably the hype will eventually slow down, typically within the first 2 weeks after the launch, and your sales will drop. This is where the real work starts and where your emotional endurance will be tested. You might go from 10 sales a day on your launch day to 3 sales a day 2 weeks later. As Ryan says, the dopamine fluctuations during this time are indescribable. You might feel on top of the world some days and like a total failure another, but you must stick to the process. This step might be the most grueling process since we have to experiment and figure out which methods of advertising and sales provide the best and most consistent results. Whether that is advertising, creating content, calling customers directly, or all of the above. Your goal is to continue to build momentum over the next few months where those 3 sales a day turn into 5 sales, and those 5 sales turn into 8 and 10 and so on until you get to 25 sales per day. Once you are consistently getting 25 sales per day, this means that you have a proven concept. You are bringing a cool $22,000 per month in revenue, but most importantly, you can now begin scaling your business, and it becomes time to launch your second product. Remember, a $1 million business is made out of 3 to 5 products, each selling 25 to 30 units per day. And once we figured out how to sell 25 units of one product, we can apply the same strategy on the second and third product. The great thing is that we've done a lot of the work already. It is easier to launch your second product than it is your first. You already have an audience who is happy to buy from you and created great relationships with your customers, which makes them more likely to buy your second product. So to get your second product to 25 sales a day now becomes much easier and faster. Step number 7. Build a $1 million brand. At this point, your focus is on expanding your reach and attracting new audiences to your business. You do this by continuing to post great content specific to your audience, creating advertisements, and creating relationships with influential people in your space, like social media influencers, podcasters, vloggers, and even other businesses. There are 2 main points of focus when you are ready to scale your business to a $1 million brand. 1. Make sure your systems can handle a higher volume of sales. This means making sure your manufacturer can continue to develop an increasing amount of product. You have enough space to store it and have the adequate shipping and handling process to fulfill a higher volume of product. Or if you use an external service like Amazon, then just making sure you're constantly getting enough inventory to fulfill a higher level of orders. And 2. Maximizing the reach of your brand. At this point, you switch from selling one-to-one to selling one-to-many. Instead of talking to one person at a time to get a sale, you want to focus on talking to as many people in your space as possible. At this level, it's all about developing brand awareness. You want as many people in your industry to know your business. As you build your business, there are 3 main things that every entrepreneur needs. Critical thinking to make great decisions, a certain level of math to be able to keep track of your business, and an understanding of how technology works. For that, I recommend today's sponsor, Brilliant. You know what they say, the best way to learn anything is by doing it yourself. And unlike many other platforms, Brilliant makes learning interactive. You're not just passively watching a lecture, but instead you're actively taking part in each lesson. Now, one of my favorite categories are their computer science courses. Not just because they're actually fun to do, but because they are relevant to our ever-growing technological world. If computer science is not your thing, they have over 60 courses in the different fields of STEM, which are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. A great place to start is their course on logic, which is a series of problem-solving exercises to develop your critical thinking skills, which are the basis for mathematical reasoning, which is an important skill in the world of business and finance. Then you can move on to computer science fundamentals, explore the vast world of mathematics, or dive into data sciences, which is a rapidly growing industry, and eventually get to more advanced classes like their cryptocurrency course or their math for quantitative finance, which helps you understand the financial markets. So join the millions of people already learning with Brilliant by heading over to brilliant.org/The Betterment Project or the first link in the description of this video to get started for free with Brilliant's interactive courses. And the first 200 viewers will also get 20% off their annual membership. And a huge thank you to Brilliant for sponsoring today's video. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.